49ers or Cowboys? Richard, you played obviously for the 49ers from 2018 through 2020. Your response first.
Well, again, Skip, as you've made me continue to do, I will point it out level by level to make it very simple. The defensive line, you can call it a wash. Nicholas Boast is the defensive player of the year. Javon Hargraves had 11 sacks last year. He's on his way this year. Eric Armstead is a menace both in the regular season and the playoffs. Probably the most underrated guy on that defensive line. You got Drake Jackson, who's coming into his own. Then you got the Pro Bowl linebackers and all-pro linebacker and Fred Warner. Dre Greenlaw may finally get the respect he deserves. Talanoa Hufanga is having another all-pro season. Tayshaun Gibson is all over the place and making big plays, keeping the top over the defense. Charvarius Ward is very sticky in coverage. Skip, come on.
All right, come on, Keyshawn. Do better than that.
Do better than that. So, okay, I look, they're not far off, Skip. I would call the 49ers a 1A right now. Not based on statistics, but based on my eyeballs and what I've seen, plus the offensive competition in which they played. Then I would call the Dallas Cowboys a 1B minus. So it's close. It's not...
1B minus?
Yeah, 1B minus.
That doesn't seem very close to me.
Yeah, it is, Skip. It is. They get the B minus because they don't have the players that Richard just mentioned. When you start name dropping, right? Name dropping means a lot. When you go from front to back, there's a all-pro at every single level. Their secondary, to me, is one of the better secondaries based on coverage that Steve Wilkes has put in to play with them, whether it's Ward, whether it's Diamador Lenore, whether it's Funga. All of these guys are always around the football. Okay, then you talk about Greenlaw and then Boast. So we can go on and on about the names. But if you look at the statistical side of things, Dallas edges them literally in every statistical category. But you got to slow down, Skipper. Just slow down for a minute. Don't get all excited about statistics, right?
Yeah.
You got to think about the teams that they played. The Dallas Cowboys, they played the New York Giants. They goose-egged them. That's going to kind of push things a certain way because of the goose egg. They played the New York Jets. Where's that offense at? It's going to push things a certain way. Arizona, the one offense that kind of got them for 220-plus yards on the ground, pushes it a little bit the other way. So when you start to look at these things, then they play the New England Patriots. They gave up 3 points. We all know Mac Jones got benched. We all understand all of those sort of things. But when you look at the other side, Pittsburgh, at that time, Pittsburgh was expected to be a certain type of team. They went into Pittsburgh, long trip, they took care of business, slowed that offense down. Then when you talk about, don't roll your eyes at me, then you talk about the Rams, high-octane offense with a wizard of a coach in Sean McVay. Are you telling me Sean McVay is not a wizard of a coach offensively?
Offensively.
Okay. They then went and beat their divisional rival 30-23. So when you look at that, that's an offense that they went up against, a dominant offense for the most part. Now you go and you say the San Francisco 49ers, they take care of the Giants, whatever the Giants, that's a wash.
Yeah.
Then Arizona comes in and they only score 16 points against them. They only scored 16 against them. So when I look at it, based on numbers, what the Cowboys did to those sorry-ass teams gave them the edge statistically. But if I'm watching player for player, I give it to the 49ers.
By the way, Pittsburgh is starting to look like a sorry-ass team because it has a sorry-ass quarterback, right? So didn't we overrate Pittsburgh coming in?
Yeah, we slightly overrated them, but we didn't know at the time.
We did not know
We didn't know at the time, and they still had...
overrated every quarterback you've played has been terrible.
Everyone.
Like Daniel Jones, we overrated him from the start, and then Seattle just demolished him to reemphasize the point that he's terrible.
Well, first of all,
you went against...
Go ahead. They play... Here's how we simplify it. Here's how we simplify it, Sherman. They played a bunch of backups, man. That's who y'all played.
Wait. Is it the same backup Mac Jones you guys both picked or almost guaranteed to beat my Cowboys this past Sunday at Jerry World?
Well, look, man.
Well, I mean, we couldn't not put it against you. You lost to Josh Dobbs, who's a journeyman.
A backup.
So let's not get crazy.
Backup.
Yeah, in the third quarter at San Francisco this past Sunday, it looked like Josh Dobbs was going to take them to the cleaners.
They beat him by 19.
They finally did. They pulled away. I'll give you that. Okay, it is now my turn. Richard Sherman, I'm going to give you this. Keyshawn, I'll give you this. If we want to go player for player and go to the combine with them, I'll give you an edge here and an edge there and an edge here. I got all the things that you just detailed. If you want to play punt, pass, and kick, you might have me by a little bit here and there. But if we want to talk about productivity, if we want to talk about the bottom line to the game you both played at the very highest level, what is it ultimately all about? It's about taking the football away and not giving it away. It's pretty simple. That's the telltale, tell-it-all stat is turnover differential. If your defense can take it away much more than your offense gives it away, I can show you year after year after year. I can show you the numbers. The numbers will tell you that the teams who get to the Super Bowl have the best, almost always, turnover differential. What does my defense do better than any defense maybe ever in the history of football? We're on a tear right now, a takeaway tear. We are taking the ball away at an historic level.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see how it carries on through this year. But there's only one team in the history of this league that led the whole league in takeaways 2 straight years, and it was the Steel Curtain Steelers of the 1970s.
Oh, so now y'all the Steel Curtain.
Well, we're
Jets were the 85 Bears, now y'all the Steel Curtain.
we are eclipsing the Steel Curtain because through 4 games, we're on the same rampage that we've been on for 2 years under the great Dan Quinn. Richard knows him well because he played for him in Seattle. He is our unofficial head coach. He is our official motivator of the team. And since he walked in the door, all the defense does is produce at the highest level. It does the ultimate. It takes the football away.
I give you that.
I'm looking 2021, 2022, and 4 games into 23. My defense has taken the ball away 77 times. In that same span, the 49ers have taken the ball away 55 times. We're 22 ahead over 2 years and 4 games. That's extraordinary. That's significant. That's a big gap from a A and a, what would you call it, a B minus. So the truth is, the God's truth is, if you look hard at the numbers, the God's truth is that the B minus, the 1 B minus is actually the 49ers, because I'm looking at interceptions and fumbles returned for touchdowns over these 2 years and 4 games. And I'm looking at Cowboys, they're number 1 by far with a bullet, because they have 12 over 2 years and 4 games. 12 times they have either caught the ball or scooped the ball and scored with the football. The 49ers over that 2 years and 4 month span, 5 times, 12-5. Well, that means you got number 1, and then you got a 1 B minus in San Francisco. I'll give you that.
Okay.
How about sacks over the last 2 years and 4 games? Sacks. I'll give you this. Philly, we're going to talk about Philly in a few minutes here, but they have 1 more sack than Dallas over that period. It's 110 for Philly to 109 for Dallas. And the 49ers are back at that B minus level at 101. So we take it away, and we scoop it and score it, and we intercept it and pick six it, and we sack at higher levels. We produce at much higher levels than the 49ers ever thought about. So I give you, if you want to go to the combine, you got me. If you want to punt, pass, and kick, you got me. But you don't have me here.
Let me go, Keith.
Let me grab him real quick.
Yeah.
Just real quick, though, Sherm.
I think I just eluded both of you.
First of all, Skip, you going into history. You talking about something in the past. We talking about Sunday. We talk about this season through 4 games.
How about historical?
That doesn't mean anything.
No one's ever done that. Does anybody talk about it? Do you hear anybody talk about this? I'm the first one to bring it up.
Let me have this, because this will be quick. This will be a quick finish.
Get him. Get up on him.
Key, the bottom line is 3 out of the last 4 years, the San Francisco 49ers have advanced to the NFC title game. 3 of the last 4 with their defense. You know the difference between our Dan Quinn coach defenses and these Dan Quinn coach defenses is we made it to the promised land every year he was our defensive coordinator. It wasn't, hey, divisional and done, divisional and done. We made it to Super Bowls every single time. So all these stats, you know the difference between y'all and the steel curtain? They made it to the Super Bowl. Skip, that's why people remember them. Nobody remembers the defense that doesn't make it to the Super Bowl. Hey, we led the league in turnovers. We led the league in sacks over the last 3 years, but we got to the divisional and we went home every single time. So, Skip, I hear you. Say these stats. You talk about when it matters. Every year that Nicholas John Bosa is on that roster in the playoffs, ending the season, they are at least advancing to the NFC Championship game. Every year that Micah Parsons is on that defense, they are not going past the divisional. No matter how hard Micah Parsons plays, no matter how well he plays. He was dang near the defensive player of the year last year. All pro, first team, first year and second year. All these sacks, all these interceptions, all these turnovers, only to go home at the hands of these San Francisco 49ers and this defense that we're talking about. So not only do we have a direct connection, we have a direct assessment. We have 2 years worth of direct assessment. Hey, we're playing your team when it matters the most, and guess what? Go home. Hey, let's do it again the next year. Guess what? Go home.
And
I hear you. Give me countless irrelevant stats.
I have been stuck with Dak Prescott
So
for
now
both of
you're
those
gonna blame-
games.
so now
I'm
you still
stuck
are.
with him.
You
Now
still
you're gonna
are.
blame Dak.
You
Well,
still
I
are.
can't help. What do you mean now I'm going to blame him? Who wouldn't blame him? Who in his right mind
go-
wouldn't blame him?
you
Who
play the blame
lost the
game.
game last year at San Francisco? We held
The
Brock
team.
Purdy to 19
Collectively,
points.
the team lost the game.
Yeah,
the
but the
team.
quarterback lost the game.
But
The quarterback's by far the most important.
You talk about these turnovers, and I'm going to focus just on this year
Yeah.
because I don't care about the past. It doesn't really mean anything to me because 4 games in, I could play Richard Sherman on that Dallas Cowboys defense at the age he is, and he hadn't played football in quite some time. I can play him, and he'd get interceptions against Daniel Jones and Zach
would.
Wilson and Mac Jones.
Catch at least 3.
The New England Patriots have scored.
Wait a second.
the
We've
New
done it
England-
for 2 years and 4 games.
The New England Patriots have scored 55 points in 4 games.
You picked
Stop
them.
it
I
with
didn't.
the defense.
I didn't.
I picked them because I needed to go against you and your and Michael Irvin delusional mindset about making the Cowboys a Super Bowl favorites and going to Paradise in Vegas in 3 weeks.
Because
That's
you
crazy.
thought we had been exposed
No,
out
I
in
did-
the desert. You thought we were a desert mirage because we gave up
I
222
thought that there would be a
rushing.
much different game plan by
And
Bill
got beat by
Belichick. I
Ah,
absolutely.
so now it's Belichick's
and
fault.
he didn't do that. He went against what I thought, which is okay. You'll get a steak dinner. Don't worry about that. But you're talking about turnovers. You're talking about
It's
turnovers
the-
against
the
these
essence
bad,
of football.
these bad quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You're not going to have turnovers next week against the Chargers. You're not going to have turnovers on Sunday against the 49ers. That should be your concentration, not what you did 2 years ago and not make it to the Super Bowl, or the year before that, or the year before that. Like Richard said, all these historical moments that you keep bringing up, and guess what? We're all
they're
celebrating
recent.
the same.
I'm not talking about the Cowboys of the
In- in
1970s.
the-
I'm talking about the Cowboys in the last 2 years.
Is last year not history? That means it's in the past. You're smart. You went to Vandy.
We're off to the
you know
races.
that.
We're doing it again, right before your very eyes.
Yeah.
Guess who leads the NFL in turnover differential? Who does?
So
The
what are
Dallas
you
Cowboys.
leading? So Skip, you're doing it again. That's not a good thing. You know the thing about us doing it again, after we had our 2013 season, Legion of Boom, all this, we were on our way to another Super Bowl, Skip. That's why they were like, hey, Dan Quinn is doing it again. Then he went to Atlanta, Skip. And guess what? Coached another team on their way to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
But then you get to the Dallas Cowboys and they got all these same stats. Oh, leading in every category. And guess where they're going, Skip? You tell me where they've been, Skip. You
Okay.
want to talk about history? Tell me where they've been.
Guess who you had at quarterback? You had Russell Wilson at his peak. Maybe he's not at his peak now, although he played pretty well this past Sunday. My point is,
did.
you had Russell Wilson that could measure up, could stand up to what your defense was doing. I don't have a quarterback who can measure up to my defense right now.
So Skip, so all you're saying right now is you have no belief that your team is going to a Super Bowl and winning because of who your quarterback is and who the leader of that team is, which is Mike McCarthy, who is going to be the same leader that you said couldn't motivate him 2 years ago, couldn't motivate him last year, is the same guy. The same guy you're talking about lost the game for you is the same guy at quarterback. So what you're saying is you don't believe your team can win. So make my argument for me.
I'm not making the argument right now on the table is who has the better defense. And clearly Dallas has the better defense because clearly, as I just demonstrated, they are far more productive than the San Francisco defense. If you want to go man for man, you want to pick all-star teams, go ahead. But if you want to look hard at what has happened and what is happening as we speak, and to this moment right now, Dallas has the better defense because it is taking the ball away way more at a way higher level than San Francisco is.
Okay,
it is sacking the quarterback way more than San Francisco is actually sacking the quarterback. You can have Nicholas John Bosa. You can have it.
Skip.
Yeah.
Stop it, man.
No, I'm starting.
No. You're going to stop for a minute. Here's why you're going to stop. Did you see who they just played? The New England Patriots? Just stop.
Well, what are you talking about? I had to listen to both of you all week saying they're going to run the ball down your throat.
That's what we thought.
And I told you.
That's what we thought.
Zeke
the quarterback
is shot.
got benched.
Zeke hit the wall.
The quarterback got benched.
Okay, I don't care.
The quarterback threw a pick six from the other side of the field.
That wasn't what we were
have
talking
to
about.
care.
You said that Zeke would go over 100 and that they would go. They would run the ball.
I assume that would be the case.
I told you on the record, for the record, on this show, that Zeke won't get 50 yards, and I way overestimated. He got 16.
It wasn't that it wasn't the attempts. They took the ball out of Zeke's hand because they were losing, and they started trying to throw the football.
The reason they took it out of his hands, the last 5 times he carried the football, he got 7 yards. Any offensive coordinator in his right mind would say, I have seen enough.
Well, here's what I'm going to say to you.
The reason why the San Francisco 49ers are the all-star team, why you can look at an all-pro list and see majority of the list having a San Francisco 49ers is because they have elite players. They don't have empty fluff stats. You see one player from the Dallas Cowboys on that defense all-pro team. It's Micah Parsons, here 11 from heaven, a great player in this league. He's going to continue to be a menace in this league. But outside of that, empty fluff stats. They don't respect your stats. They don't respect because we on this defense,
who actually
you have championship finishers. Championship finishers. Richard Sherman, who's been to 3 Super Bowls. The Dallas Cowboys have been to none in the last decade, 2 decades.
Did Richard Sherman, who's been to 3 Super Bowls, actually just call takeaways and turnovers empty stats?
When they're not on a championship defense, they are empty stats. When you're not going to Super Bowls, they are empty stats.
Okay. It's like somebody padding their numbers on a 2-minute drill, and you look at the end of the stat sheet and be like, man, he balled out. Well, where was he at for the first 3.5 damn quarters? Same
when
thing.
It's winning time in the playoffs, who's showing up, who's making big plays? Because you talked about, it was Dak Prescott. But guess what? Guess who intercepted those passes? That San Francisco 49ers defense. Guess who intercepted those passes? Guess who caused those turnovers when it mattered? Guess who didn't cause turnovers when it mattered? That Dallas Cowboys defense. So you keep saying this. When it matters, we have empirical evidence that says this Dallas Cowboys defense did not show up when you needed it.
I just gave it to you. The 2 Dak interceptions in the first half at San Francisco in the playoff game were horrible ideas and horrible throws. In the second half, Dak Prescott missed 4 throws that I could make. I'm talking about people, especially the last one. Gallup just runs by. I forget which safety it was. He ran 5 yards clear, and Dak missed him by 5 yards short and right. I can't overcome that. The quarterback has to make some plays. We did force only 1 turnover last year at San Francisco. It was actually on a punt return by Ray McLeod. We took it away from him. We had it 1st and 10 at the San Francisco 21. Then all of a sudden I look up and it's 1st and goal at the 9-yard line. And you know what happened? Nothing happened because my quarterback can't get it in the end zone in the red zone. And we're seeing that
San Francisco
rear its ugly
49ers
head
defense.
once again. Here we go again. 1st and goal at the 9. He hits Dalton Schultz, no longer a Cowboy, for 3 yards. Then guess who? Zeke goes up the middle for -2. How many times did I see last year? I told you guys, it's 1 yard in a cloud of dust, or sometimes it's minus 1 yard in a cloud of dust. Then he tries to flip it to Zeke in the flat, and it goes nowhere, and we take a field goal. That field goal tied the score. If we can cash, we take the lead mid-third quarter. Last year at San Francisco, defense playing at a very high level, finally held them to 19. We should have scored 20. We should have scored 21. We were in position to win a game that the quarterback just couldn't make.
So since you so hell-bent over on the Cowboys or this great defense,
It's just better than San Francisco's. It just is.
So here's what I'm going to say to you. Here's what I'm going to say to you, Skip. We're going to be on the show November 6th. That's a Monday. Okay? Between Sunday and November 6th. You got to follow me here now. They both are going to play some pretty high-octane offenses. You do know that, right? The 49ers the Cowboys got the 49ers, the Chargers, the Rams, and Philly.
Mm-hmm.
They got them coming up. The 49ers got the Cowboys, Cleveland, Minnesota. We know they can score in Cincinnati, and hopefully Joe Burrow will be back to his old self by the end. We can have this conversation then because they're going up against some pretty good offense.
All right, but we're having this conversation right now. Right now.
The conversation's over. It's nothing.
And we're having this conversation.
No,
I'm giving you an opportunity.
I gave you an opportunity to show me that Dallas' defense is not as good as San Francisco's, and you didn't because you can't. Neither one of you have any ammunition left. I just showed you every
You gave me all the ammunition I needed, Skip.
No.
You literally just made my point for me. You literally described the Dak Prescott drive in the playoffs versus this vaunted San Francisco 49ers defense that said, hey, stop. Hey, you're in the red zone. We turned it over. Hey, defense, block. Hey, in this drive, put the fire out. Y'all couldn't beat the 7th round Mr. Irrelevant in his rookie season. So he's only getting better, Skip. You couldn't beat him as a rookie. That vaunted defense couldn't stop Brock Purdy in his second playoff game.
I am. Who wouldn't?
Here's what I'm going to ask you.
If anyone with two eyes, maybe you have 3.
I know we got to move on.
Yeah.
But Skip, where was the all-pro number 11 at in that playoff game? That's all I'm saying. We've had the conversation that he's faded in the end.
Yeah, he was holding San Francisco in its high-octane offense with all those weapons. Christian McCaffrey, who carried 10 times that game for 35 yards. He caught 3 balls for 21 yards. It's just not, it was nothing. I don't even remember Christian McCaffrey playing. That's what Micah was doing.
I don't remember the Dallas Cowboys playing. Because they lost.
It's a team game, Skip.
So over the last 2 years and 4 games, if we switch it around to the offense, you got to listen. You got to hear me out because I'm killing you right now. The Dallas Cowboys offense is average. No, I should say the Dallas Cowboys team has averaged scoring 30 points a game. That's number 1 in the NFL over that span. The 49ers have averaged 26 a game. And you know why we're at 30?
They didn't fire their offensive coordinator.
Because what have I told you from day one on this show? I told you starting August 28th, my defense is my offense. My defense scores better than my offense scores. My defense takes it away and sets up easier scores. That's why we are averaging more points over 2 years and 4 games than San Francisco is.
You get ready to step in, man. You get ready to step in it.
Yeah.
I'm trying
to against Arizona.
You guys stepped in it last week, and you can't get out of it, and it's okay. It's okay. You'll learn. You'll learn. I'm trying to teach you. We got to talk Lakers up next because, are they going back and forth with the Nuggets and just me? I think the Nuggets got the psychological advantage right now. That is next. No mercy. No mercy. No mercy. Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.